welcome to Belgium, where Christian Bentley has stuck it on pole position from Matthew Hart, and Kazuki Sims following him is the points leader Chris Cornwell and Akari Lopez. Cilia starts 6th from Butler and Zenzo, and in 9th place it's Brazil's Vitor Alves. Dominic Hudson starts 10th from Kimi Nyla and Danny Ortega. Looking at the second half of the pack, we've got Perez from Antonio and Cloquet, then it's Iker World, Lam Fong, and Davi Carrera. It's the two Andretti's following them then. It's Shen and Austin, followed by Rai Franca and Antonio Conte, then the back row of Animates and Van Salao. It's the 10th round of this exciting ChampCar World Series season with 5 to go after this. All 5 lights go on from Spa-Francorchamps. Lights out and away we go for the 10th round of the ChampCar World Series season. It's a great start off the line there from Matthew Hart, who's trying to hold it side by side, coming through La Source and forced wide off the track and into the wall for pole sitter Christian Bentley, who drops down to 4th. What a stormer of a start then for Kazuki Sims, who takes the lead from the championship leader Chris Cornwell. Akari Lopez involved in that as well. It seems he's got a time penalty. Major front wing damage for Christian Bentley. The two front row drivers taking each other off the track and taking Sims to the race lead. Look at Cilia moving up into 5th place as they come out of the Camel Straight. We did not expect to see anything like that from the front row drivers. I don't think I've seen a race start like that in the ChampCar World Series in my life. I mean, Bentley, oh! That's a big slide for Iker! Iker World sliding into the wall there. Looked like it could have been a bit of side contact with Matthias Antonio or Lam Fong. It was with neither, it seems, and just looks like through that corner just didn't work out at all. It's the longest lap on the calendar here in Spa-Francorchamps, which is why we've got the least amount of laps, just 11, to fit into roughly half an hour of your time. So thank you so much for joining us here at Sparkplug Motorsport for the end of the second third of this ChampCar World Series season. We go on to lap 2 of 11, and looking back with car number 11, who leads here in Belgium, already a race winner in this level of the Electric Racing League. It's its sophomore season as Cloquet comes down into the pits, and it looks like it's happened again. Guillermo Perez this time has hit the wall after being driven off the road by the number 89 of Matthias Antonio, former points leader, both of them in fact. And it's major front wing damage for the Spaniard. Sims with the fastest first sector as Akari Lopez now closing up to the back of Chris Cornwell. Danny Ortega running up in 9th place. He's doing quite well in that Team Penske number 28. Team Penske, they never really have looked like a quick team in ChampCar. At least in the ERL's ChampCar. They've taken single-digit numbers of wins and podiums. In fact, I'd be surprised if someone could put in the comments the last time these guys were on the podium with someone other than Danny Ortega, who's certainly overdriving his material, and is that Perez having an off of his own as we get back under the green flags. I think it might have been Guillermo potentially tangling with Davi Carrera, because there does seem to be a bit more damage to the Spaniard's car. It would explain the yellow flag period there as well. Kazuki Sims, now Chris Cornwell, a lot of drivers now coming across the line to set new fastest laps as Matthias Antonio getting past Christian Bentley, who still has that front wing damage from lap 1. Well, that's going to be fixed up very shortly. Into the pits then for the man in the top 5 in points, the 32 of Christian Bentley. Meanwhile, Chris Cornwell's now on the back of Kazuki Sims. He's got attack mode heading down the straight. I think he can catch up going down the Camel Straight. Into the chicane they go, almost touching wheels, and a caution comes out further back. Heading down out of La Source, it's Antonio Ponte and Francis Austin. The two Italian drivers have collided and are out of the race. On lap 3, it's our first full course yellow after multiple yellow flag periods. Well, we are about to go green again. Chris was on the verge of going side by side with the Japanese driver in front. As we go green, here's his opportunity to, at the very least, close up, but he didn't get a very good getaway as we got back under the green. Matthew Hart, by the way, does not have any damage to that Forsyth car. He's lost most of that time through just trying to get back to grips with that car. Maybe a little bit of a lack of belief there as Vita Alves, a young Brazilian driver, fighting away with Italy's Ahmed Celia. Vita skipped the FG Series on his way up to ChampCar, and you can say that for a lot of the drivers on this field. Some of them came down from Formula E, some of them came up from FG, but a lot less than what you think. As there goes Alves up to 4th. Into the pits there comes Kari Lopez and Kazuki Sims. Chris Cornwell now leads, and the question is now for the teams as Sims goes on to a set of hards. What is the better strategy? Is it staying out and going for the overcut, or will the undercut be the beneficial strategy? Well, if your name is Devin Butler, I don't think either will help you too much as you come through Oruge and Radion with the number 71 car. He is now dropped below 25%, so it could be a very big worry for that final sector. Look at that 19 of Davi Circular. Fired from Hyperdrive Racing for, quote, poor performance. Right, Franca, you can see him dropping behind Lam Fong. Getting back with the 20 cars. Vancelau forced off the road by Ray Shen, and a caution comes out for Ica World. And Christian Bentley's involved. Okay, so it does seem like Ica potentially has hit the catch fence. For some reason, the Angolan driver, one of the few African drivers to even touch an ERL seat, once again hitting the catch fence as we're green again. Taking a look at Butler's tires once more, 13%. So they're not looking too hot, but he should be able to make it out of Blanchimont and through the bust-up chicane with minimal problems there. You can see Lam Fong defending, and another yellow for Christian Bentley. The American driver is out. Looks like he's gone a bit too wide there, touching the outside wall. And that's given him suspension damage. 6% for the 71, keeping my eyes on him. This is great time, yes, for Chris Cornwell to come into the pits, and I think Vita Alves is also going to gain from this caution period as well, but he's only just come through the pit lane entry. So we're green with Chris Cornwell heading down and out of pit row. Butler comes in at 2%. That was a lucky break for him. It's a rear puncture for Dominic Vancelau. In fact, a full car puncture, but thankfully with where he is on track, he's fine. 0% for Davi Circular as he comes down into pit lane, and Chris Cornwell comes out of the pits leading here in Belgium with Lam Fong running up in second but yet to make a pit stop, and then Kazuki Sims leading those behind Lam Fong who have made their first stop. That was perfect timing for Hyperdrive Racing. The big news is the two fastest teams in this category now both missing a driver. That helps them on the strategy aspect. In case it does go wet, they don't have to double stack in comparison to a team like Target Chip Ganassi or Conquest Racing. We take a look at Conquest's new recruit, Brandon Animates, joined this league at the start of this season. I was going to say last season, but this is his first ERL season, and he's dueling away with one of ChampCar's biggest names, Matthew Hart, the Scotsman in the 21, holding on to 6th with everything that he's got. Vita Alves running quite possibly one of, if not his single best race of his career so far. 5th place with his teammate up in 2nd. It's a great day to be a Dragon fan. Where is Matthew Hart going to think about closing up, because he's nowhere near the back of the Brazilian? Meanwhile, Brandon Animates is going side by side with Danny Ortega. while trying to defend from Dominic Hudson, who almost runs into the back of him. On board we go with Zenzo, who gets past Brondon Animates through sheer force of will. That was robust defense there as in come Animates and Lam Fong. Also down into pit lane, it's Matteo Klosket celebrating his home race today in that number 22 Trackhouse racing car. He's got a long way down through pit lane to go, as we have already surpassed half race distance today. We've had 4 race retirements. We're down to 20 here in Belgium. It's big shot! Matthew Hart somersaulting beside the catch fence and is out of this race. Full course yellows come out. Guillermo Perez has front wing damage. Another problem for this Target Chip Ganassi team. The reigning Constructors Champions. And the reigning Drivers Champions as well, as we go green with Nico Palomino with their new lineup. Does seem like Guillermo Perez, very young driver, still has some edges to soften. Hudson. Oh, that's forcing off the track there from Akari. Then contact for Zenzo. Oh, that's a big one! Zenzo sliding down the track out of the race for Guillermo Perez. Some may refer to that as karma, as Antonio Shen's just taken Zenzo out of the race. Matthews Antonio there ran into the side of the Dale Coyne car. And the cautions are extended as we begin lap 7 of 11. Chris Cornwell's got a pit stop to Kazuki Sims. That's probably going to help the British driver, considering he's on a set of soft compound tires, as we are now back onto full racing conditions. Daniel Ortega with the fastest lap of this race, running up in 4th. Well, he's been passed by Hudson, as we expect to see the Penske driver down into pit lane. But that was heading down the Camel Straight. They wrecked in a straight line with Perez and Hart. And coming through the second sector, that was one of the biggest shunts we've seen in quite some time in the Electric Racing League. Seeing 2 cars hitting the catch fencing here in Belgium. Don't want to see that too often, as Sims and Weiser Alves dueling over second place. The 11 just about able to hold on. He's had less experience, but of course he's been testing these Sims racing cars for quite some time. I think you'd have to dial it back, according to some rumors, back to season 22 and the start of the ERL 02 era of Formula E. For Kazuki Sims, his first tests at that team. At the time he was still driving in Super Formula, which is not covered here on Sparkplug Motorsport. He's also driving some rally cars alongside his endeavors back home in Japan. And look at this for Lam Fong trying to close up to the back of Matthias Antonio. I don't know if that's going to be a good pass for the 73 to make, but I think he's got the inside at the very least, as Cornwell's come down into pit lane for his second stop of this race. Here comes the 73. And there goes the 73. Still alongside as Ortega sets a new fastest second sector. Matthias Antonio. Absolutely unbelievable stuff we're seeing from this rookie in the 89. As Weiser Alves is heading off, and that's with Sims. The 2 who are fighting over second position. The next time we see them, they've both got front wing damage, and it seems like the 12 of Weiser Alves has come off worse. Major wing damage for the 11 as well. Hudson gets past. A reminder, Cornwell has come out of the pits, and he's 11 seconds up on Sims and Hudson. Oh my. That's just how furious it gets in this ERL. And Antonio still on the back of Vider there. You can see Cloquet at his home race in that 22, beating and banging with Brondon Animates. Staying side by side, that 89, getting close to the 22. And they're still locking wheels there. Somehow not forcing each other off the road. That's how much space we've got here at this beautiful circuit Spa-Francorchamps. On board we go with the 88. He's holding it, as you can see, right off the road, and a big slide there for Vider Alves. Somehow avoided by the 88, but the caution's once again out on lap 8. Somehow Sims has maintained second place, by the way, guys. I don't think he's going to lose track position, but he is going to lose a lot of time to Chris Cornwell, the Anglican, the Englishman, if you prefer. Somehow perfectly controlling his car. On lap 9:11, we got 2 more laps until the white flag drops here in Belgium. We expect to see Sims dive down into the pits. The best part for Chris Cornwell is this: he can get to the end of the race with his medium tires. That should be possible if we take a look at Devin Butler's stint on them. 3 laps is plenty feasible. It's plenty feasible. Danny Ortega in that 28 car being chased by 2 rookies as a caution comes out for Dominic Vancelau down in pit lane. Ray Shen has taken out the German, and it's yet another caution period in the pits. He couldn't even make his way through pit lane. This has to be one of the most chaotic races we've ever had here in Belgium. And we've had some of the fastest wearing tires of all time in the ERL as well. The hope is, of course, Ortega, Nyla, Cilia, Chen, they all come into the pits at the end of this lap, hopefully. Well, we don't know if they will. We don't know their team strategies to the T, as we are back under the green flags. Ortega, the only man still running in this race with a 5-second time penalty, so he'll serve that if and when he comes down into the pits. Ray Shen with a track limits warning, dueling away with Matthias Antonio. The Chinese driver still with front wing damage, and we've seen coming out of this long corner, through the corner with no name then. It's very, very necessary to have all the downforce that you can get, especially coming through here. You just take a look, it's very airborne, it's a tailspin! Oh my god! Ray Shen is out as we begin the penultimate lap of this race. My god! As a caution's end, I think it's very important to note, this is the level of Ortega's deficit to Cornwell, and just how quickly and how well Hyperdrive Racing has played today's strategy game. Ortega comes across the line to start his 10th lap. Cornwell is beginning his second sector. It's a 5-second time penalty for Davy Cercarera over track limits as it's contact between Nyla and Franca. Rai Franca having yet another brilliant race for the rookie. He pulls out to go alongside his teammate Mattia Klaske, who's looking for his first podium at home. It's only the penultimate lap, some may say, but as it stands, it's a Trackhouse 2-3, and Rai Franca wants to make sure he's in front of his teammate to remind his team who's boss, as that's contact there for Kimi Nyla and Akari Lopez. They almost hit the wall. Look at the state of the British driver's tyres, 15%, as Cloquet drops down to 5th. He's struggling. He's really struggling with those hard compound tyres. His teammate far and away in front as Cercarera gets a time penalty for causing a collision. We've seen Ray Shen fly off the road there. That's how you know it could have been so much worse for Nyla and Akari. They have to be so lucky to know that they don't have damage. Meanwhile, Antonio, oh, big spin there for Davy Cercarera, who's out. Sliding down the track there for Matthias Antonio as well as we begin this final lap here in Belgium, and it's Chris Cornwell who leads us to it. 6% for Ortega. How's Nyla doing? 4%. Those two, both with time penalties, and both with tyres that surely can't make it. 9% for Ahmed Cilia. My God, I hope Antonio comes down into pit lane as we are about to go green, hopefully one last time here in Belgium. Ortega making his way through the bus stop chicane, and he stays out. But by the time he crosses the line, Ray Franca's all over him. He hits zero, coming down into La Source. Ray Franca takes second, and it's a full car puncture for Danny Ortega. And surely, yes, for Kimi Nyla as well. Contact there, a 5-second time penalty for Brondon Animates. I'm keeping my eyes on that mini-map as well, just to see where your race leader is, just to make sure that we don't miss what could be the biggest win of his career, and quite possibly the greatest race win in ChampCar history. Mario Kloske is still fighting to try and put himself onto the podium in his home race. What a disappointment it would be if he would miss out at home. But it has been a great race in the office for that team, as into the wall and spinning for Ahmed Celia. Yellow's in the opening sector still for Ahmed, but out in front, Chris Cornwell will come home and take victory in the ChampCar Grand Prix of Belgium, and he'll win it by 1.5 miles. Ray Franca making his way into Blanchimont, currently up in second. Matias Antonio trying to close up to Danny Ortega then, and he'll run into the back of him, give him a bit of a nudge, but he will move up into 10th place. What a race for Trackhouse Racing then. Ray Franca of Brazil will come to the line with a magnificent second place under caution as Kazuki Sims Takahana is out, sliding into pit lane. Akari Lopez will return to the podium today. And the tires blowing up for so many, but for Sims, had nothing to do with that. Had absolutely nothing to do with that. That all came down to grip, and unfortunately for the Japanese driver, he did not have any. Sims Racing scores none today, with only 12 finishes out of a potential 24. That's half the field crashing out here in Belgium. Leaving yourself then no margin for error, winning by 32.336 seconds. In a league like the ERL, where we often see race wins decided by tenths of a second, that has to be quite the achievement. Leaving, as I've already said, no margin for error. And here's your podium, Chris Cornwell taking his second ChampCar World Series race win. It's back-to-back race wins, in fact, for the British driver who will surely increase his championship lead. Ray Franca, yet another brilliant finish for the Trackhouse Racing man, followed by the Season 15 Formula E champion, Akari Lopez, who's seemingly in the middle of a career resurgence. As for the rest of your finishes, Dominic Hudson classified 4th from Matthew Kloske at home, a top 5 finish. Once again, a great result for the all-new Trackhouse Racing team. Lam Thong 6th from Devin Butler and Brondon Animates, and it's Matthias Antonio and Danny Ortega for your point scorers. The non-scorers were Kimi Nyla and Ahmed Celia. And then the non-finishers, Kazuki Sims, Davi Circurera, Ray Shen, Dominic Vantilal, Vita Alves, Zenzo, Guillermo Perez, Matthew Hunt, Christian Bentley, Ica World, Antonio Ponte, and Francis Austin all couldn't reach the checkered flag. So in your driver standings, Chris Cornwell is now the first man to breach 100 points at 118. Then it's Matthew Hunt and the Tiger Chip Ganassis of Dominic Hudson and Guillermo Perez. Matthews Antonio tied on points with Christian Bentley, who's followed by his teammate Kazuki Sims, which means the two Sims 888 cars are currently in 6th and 7th. I'm sorry, I have to keep making the joke, it's so easy! Ahmed Celia is 8th from Akari Lopez and Kimi Nyla, then it's Rai Franca, Lam Fong, Mario Kloske, Ica World, Danny Ortega, Brandon Animates, Francis Austin, Zenzo, Ray Shen, Davi Circurera, Devin Butler, Vito Alves, Antonio Ponte, and Dominic Vansalau. So, in your constructors' standings, heading into the next round of the championship, Target Chip Ganassi lead. They're only 3 points up on Nord Hyperdrive, who are followed by Forsyth Racing and Sims 888. Trackhouse Racing, best of the rest, followed by Conquest and Power Motorsport. KV Racing Technologies are 8th from Dragon Racing and Andretti Autosport. Then it's Dale Coin Racing and Team Penske. And with that only leaves us a handful of races left to run in this ChampCar World Series season. Next up, we head to Mexico City, then we head to Monterrey in Mexico, Ontario, Canada, which is going to be a double feature with the stars of Formula E racing on the very same track as us. Then we head to the Monte Carlo Grand Prix, the first ever Monte Carlo Grand Prix in the ChampCar World Series. And then we end off the season at the Indianapolis Road Course. It's going to be a fun ride, and we hope to see you there next time then when the Electric Racing League returns here on Spark Plug Motorsport.